This is the first question about the reading activity. The first question is, what is disruptive? Well, the lecture talk about disruptive in different pages, and also gives a lot of examples. For example, the lecture talks about the disruptive design method that is about mining into problem set and landscaping to uncover the dynamic systems at play, and then designing and building opportunities for systems positive interventions. Well, this is a new definition, a new concept that we don't have until the moment, because in different companies talk about innovation, but not disruptive. And also, this lecture comments about the disruptive approach. For example, about the systems, the dynamic systems, company systems, all supply chain systems, maybe they need to change. For example, if you are a disruptive designer, you have to find different ways of break the status quo to make the old obsolete and the new possible, desirable, and sustainable. This concept is different than what we know about innovation. For example, innovation in a company is to improve maybe a chain, improve what the company makes, maybe to produce, to sell, but the disruption is like to break the status quo, is to change everything and make the things that you are doing to make obsolete. But if you are innovative, you don't make the things that you are doing obsolete. You are improving. You use the same things but in a different way to take advantage a lot better. But if you are disruptive, you are breaking the status quo and not are being innovative. You are changing everything and use new elements to improve all the chain. All right. The second question is, what does the author thinks about suspending the need to solve? What do you think about that? Well, the author talk about the need to solve in different times. For example, the author says that we always have a different when we face different problems. We go very fast to we get the need to solve, even when we don't know exactly what is the problem about, what how is the problem. We have to seek out the causal relationships, the obvious and not obvious part of the problem. Maybe if we don't identify very good the problem, we have that mm, issue about that. Each time comes problems and problems, but we always want to solve. We always have that need to solve, uh, to be in peace with us without no problem. But the author mentioned that we have to suspend in the need to solve, because yes, we must be problem lovers. We must look for problems and not problem avoiders. But if we are problem lovers, we have to look for problems. But if we don't know how to face that problem, we don't know to make a research about that problem, we we will never solve in an effective approach, because this problem is not 100% identified. And that's what the author mentioned about the need to solve. That always when a problem comes to us, eh, we have that need to solve, even when we don't recognize what exactly the problem is. For example, the author mentions that suspending the need to solve, that's what we have to do. Uh, we dive deep into the underlying elements, issues, and components of the problem arena you are seeking to make change within. And what I think about this approach, what the author mentions, well, that yes, maybe we always want to have no problems, and when a problem comes to us, we have that need to solve the problem in order to don't have any problems more. But that what that fast intervention that we make maybe results in a long time to trying to solve the problem, because we don't make a very good research about the problem. What is the problem? What causes that problem? What are the consequences of the problem? What we did before the problem? Maybe what are the elements? What are the side problems of the problem that we talk about in a first instance? But uh, I think this approach about the author mentions is very good, because if we want to solve a problem and we want to be effective and we want to be efficient, eh, we have to make a very good research about the problem, and then we have to solve with all the tools that we learned in the researching phase. And yeah, I think that's a very good point, and give us a new concept about solving problems. Right? This is the third question. What are the stages of the disruptive design methods and why is it important? Well, eh, the process map of that disruptive design method steps are the step one, define the problem. The step two, identify the nodes. Like the previous question about the need to solve, suspending the need to solve, we talk about uh, this issue about that we don't know very good what the problem is about. And these steps, step one and step two, define the problem and identify the nodes, are in the mining phase. In that phase that we have to try to find every single element to build the problem, to identify the problem, identify what are the nodes that connect the problem. Uh, After identifying the problem is, that we are talking about. In step three and step four, in step three, we map the systems. After we identify the nodes, we have to map the systems. After, uh, we have to identify the relationships. What are the relationships that causes this problem? In these three and four are in the landscaping phase that we have to uh, look. We have to look what this problem is causing. what are the consequences, looking at very large view. We have to have the open mind to be able to see what our problem is causing. This is the landscaping phase because we are identifying not the problem, we are identifying the relationships, the nodes, we're identifying the systems because this is all the systems. We have to identify those phases. Then for step 5, we have to look for the leverage points. And step 6, we design the system's intervention. Well, steps 5 and 6 are in the building phase of the disruptive design method. This building is ready to. What are the leverage points in order to improve uh, all that system that problem is in? Then we have to design the system's intervention. After we got a solution, we have to see in what part of the system it will work. Like the previous question, suspending need to solve. Uh, in order to after in order to in the first time to invest to make a very good research to mine the problem arena, that is the main issue because a lot of people forget about this. And after that we have to make the mining process, the mining phase, that we have to try to see, we try to look very good about all these relationships that the problem is causing, and then the landscaping to have an open view, and then the last phase about the building phase of this problem. And yeah, like I thought in the first phase, disruptive is about to change everything, to change every element in your system that maybe is not working, to make obsolete, to break the status quo. And yeah, these are these phases, these are the stages, the steps to in order to to make a success this disruptive design method. Right. The fourth question is about what does the lecture tells about the disruptive design approach to research? What is the mining problem concept? Well, yeah. Mm, the disruptive design project approach, the lecture tells, is that is embedded, action, visceral, and dynamic in nature. Uh, this mining problem concept about try to define the problem, trying to identify the nodes of the problem, is that we can be more efficient in those steps to have a disruptive design approach to research. It means that we have to make a very good research. We have to uh, maybe have different modes of inquiry that which could allow us to identify very good the problems and also to uh, be easier the mining problem step. For example, there are different ways of making research. There are, for example, the qualitative research, the qualitative approaches, which are based on research and interviews with people about maybe if you make an interview with a person, he can describe what is the problem about. He can describe what is experiencing. He can describe what happened before and after this problem happened. And yeah, this interview could help a lot to us. And also we have quantitative approaches uh, of researching, for example, involving data that if a company has a problem and they want to identify, they want to define its problem, they have to look for the data of the company, the historical data. And yeah, if you use maybe different uh, tools to see what is the point, what is the number, what is the date of this data that is causing the problem, you could identify, you could define very good the problem. Also, inside of quantitative approaches, we have uh, surveys to ask to people to a survey. This survey could be very useful because you could ask to a lot of people. You could to make a very good survey. You can organize survey. You can include questions that you are needing to solve the problem. In yeah, you have also less personal forms of inquiry inside the quantitative approaches. Then the disruptive design approach to research is that we have to be mm, very a part of being problem lovers. We have to make like researching lovers. We have to use the research. We have to be researchers. We try to see to every problem that we have to make a very good research, to make the different steps of our research. And that is the mining problem concept that we in this phase we usually are not making a very good research. We just go to how to solve the problem before try to define the problem. The final question is about, is ethic important on research and empathy? Well, definitely ethics is important in everything. But if we talk about researching, uh, in that process of research, you make, if you use those qualitative and quantitative approaches, you maybe could harass to other people through your questions. You maybe could use biases to in an interview. You maybe could try to hard at maybe if you don't want to do it, or maybe if you want to do it to in an interview to you hurt a person, or when your questions are not very focused on the problem, you ask just for asking we, without value, maybe a misleading interview, an exploitative interview. Yes, ethics are very, very important in research. And the author mentions that the empathy could be a very good tool to try to try to don't be unethical. If we, in an interview, in that research process, we have face to face our interviewed, uh, if we have empathy with them, we could ask very good questions. We could be part of them. We could not. We could consider the ethical implications of our actions as individuals that we are leading a research. Uh, Definitely, ethic, be ethical is the first phase to get a good research. If you are unethical in all your research process, maybe that words that say that if you get what you want, don't matter, doesn't matter what you do to get that thing that you wanted. And I think that maybe you hurt other people, maybe you harass, maybe you make a lot of things that try to get what you want, uh, and that is not the approach that the author mentions, that the author tries to tell us that we learn. Be ethical is, well, all research practice must be ethical. Um, and should always consider different perspective. Maybe if we are interviewing two people who have different opinion, we don't have to say that this person is okay, this person is telling the truth, because there is not just one truth in your research. Uh, you don't have to get a bias in this interview, because if you are trying to find the problem and maybe you say, oh, okay, I know what is causing this problem, but maybe in the interview process, the people is answering a different view that says that you are wrong, but you want to try to get what you think in a first instance. uh, that is not good, because you must be ethical in all the interview process. You could think maybe about the results of the interview process, but you don't have to try to get the result that you want. That is what the author mentioned about ethics in empathy and research. Thank you.